morning, Nigeria. You're watching Daybreak Live right here on Dominion Television. It's Thursday, the 20th day in the month of August 2025. And I am Pat Ait, delighted to start the morning with you. Good morning, Samson.
All right, I'm Samson Balogun. Good morning to you. We are here to bring you fresh perspectives, rich conversations, and the right dose of information to power your Thursday.
Well, we'll kick things off with Daybreak Gist. Today's spotlight is on Correctional Service denies collecting 350,000 naira fees from trainees. We will unpack the story and what it means for trust in public institutions.
Yes, right after that, it is time for the weather report. A quick look at the forecast to help you plan your day, wherever you are across the country.
Then comes Daybreak News, where Samson will guide us through the top stories shaping Nigeria and the world this morning.
And straight after that, we'll dive into newspaper headlines and analysis, breaking down the front pages and giving you clarity in the national conversation.
Later in the program, we will be hosting the big story and policing and democracy. Where do we draw the line on use of force? Joining us is an activist, well, a veteran and a commentator. Well, and we'll talk deep into that discussion on policing, accountability and the rights of citizens.
All right, plenty more is in store, insights, analysis and conversations that matter on the show.
So whether you're getting ready for work, already on the move or easing into calm morning, stay tuned. It's Daybreak Live.
All right, this is Daybreak Live on Dominion Television and we are just getting started. So do well to link up with us on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram and TikTok at Dominion Broadcast, and on X, formerly Twitter, at Dominion Cast. You can also link up with us, watch us live and drop your comment on our YouTube channel at Dominion Broadcast. Do well to subscribe to that channel. You can also watch us live on our website, www.dominion.org.ng, dominion.org.ng. So good morning. Good to be with you again in the studio.
Yes, I'm happy to be here.
Interesting. With you. That's really interesting.
All right, good morning. Well, let's quickly look at this main correctional service denied collecting 350,000 naira fees from trainees. Well, Yoruba would say
you see,
it's because it's something that's actually is what you will see in the public institutions, and of course not only public institutions. It shows that the cankerworm that we are trying to deal with for a very long time, and that's corruption, has eaten deep into the system. You're talking about public institutions, and of course, do not forget that private institutions are there too.
Right.
Because before you could get anything, before you could get into the system, you have to do one or two things. And that thing you feel like, oh, is this a normal thing for me to do for me to get this job or perhaps to get connected? And you will see that it is true. That's what you're going to do. Well, them coming to deny it is nothing. I'm not saying that it will not happen. It will happen. They will debunk it because they can't come and say, oh, this is how it is. But questions I keep on asking, if this kind of a thing is, oh, you're collecting 350,000 naira fees. Would this guarantee that the trainees will be shortlisted? Do not forget that some people that are being shortlisted to go for that training will still have some other people that will be shortlisted. Yeah. So like, okay, we actually give you this employment and you're part of us now. So the 350,000 naira that you're collecting from the trainee, are they money for the upkeep?
They've actually denied that. They said it didn't happen. So I just want to believe that job racketeering in Nigeria is nothing new. It's not just out of the blue. Without fire, there will be no smoke. I want to believe that. And most definitely, you know, this has been a thing that has been around for a long time. You see so many. I think nepotism has been the order of the day. You know, who do you know? Who's your dad? You have to know someone that knows someone that knows someone before you get something. So it's a trend. It has always been like that, and it is not new. And I could remember a few years ago, you know, also something like this came up. I think that was under the administration of Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. There was meant to be recruitment into, you know, some paramilitary forces then. And then Abamoro was the Minister of Interior. And then there was stampede. I think it happened at Adamasimatu and some other places, you know, across the country. And then they realized the fact that some people had to get government work, you still had to pay. So it was at that time that it was cancelled that nobody should pay a dime to get a job under the government. And why should you pay? Because the government is, I think one of the responsibilities of the government is either to provide, employment or create an enabling environment for investors to provide employment for the people. So these are things the government should be looking at. And if there's anyone out there, anyone, regardless of how highly placed that person is, that is actually making the government look bad by probably, taking money from the people just because they want to employ them. I've seen people who have actually paid, but eventually they didn't get a dime. They didn't get any job. So this is something. I think
behind the scene, I shared.
If people truly had the money, I don't think they'll be looking for a job out there. If they truly had the money, I've seen people borrow money just to pay someone that will help them get a job. There was a time someone told me that a slot for the NSCDC was being sold for 1.5 million. So if you have 1.5 million, you get the employment letter. I mean, who sells jobs?
So if you now pay the 1.5 million and you don't get
it's not even guaranteed.
So
it's not guaranteed because
you
don't even know who you are paying to. You don't know who you are paying to. It will be more or less like an intermediary, liaising between you and the person that has the slot. So it's becoming a problem. And I believe the government will solve it. Because if we are getting this kind of stories, yesterday, the public relations officer, Umar Abubakar of the Correctional Service came out to say, look, we are not taking money from anyone to give them job. And I think that should be final. And whoever is still out there, I think we also have to correct the people too. I think their mindset have to change. If you are looking for a job, the next thing for you to do, especially when it comes to public work, the next thing for you to do is not to pay someone to get the job, because it should be on merit. So if you are truly qualified and you have the requisites, I think you should get the job.
Changing the mindset of the people lies in government's hand, because if, like you said,
the government will not do everything.
Hold on, because this is what I am saying. If you have a conducive environment where you have investors to come in and invest, and you have people employed under that organization, and you as the government, you're actually doing, I think there won't be a reason where people will come to say, okay, I need to buy, I need to pay for so amount before I get the job. But in this case, I feel that a committee should be set up and to investigate what actually happened. Because before we could have this in a newspaper, I know something must have happened. A journalist must have this guys to say, okay, I want to employ and I want to get this job and see what actually happened there. Yeah. So I feel like the government should just create a committee to investigate, and a proper investigation should be done, and we should have the say of the government on this.
That's the role of investigative journalism. You know, when there are dark clouds over some, parastatals, MDAs, we have people who actually go in there and say, look, let's see what exactly is going on. But then, all in all, I just want to believe that, we'll get to that stage where you don't have to know anyone to get a job, where you don't have to pay anyone to get a job. As long as you have what it takes, as long as you are qualified, I think it should be based on merit. And we'll get there, actually. All right, thank you for being a part of the show so far. It has been a wonderful session so far in the studio of Dominion Television, Ibadan. All right, this is where we bring you unbiased analysis and, of course, undiluted reportage. Let's go on a quick break, and when we return, we'll take weather report. We'll be back.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live? Like never before. Book the OB van today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram @Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
All right, welcome back from that short break. The show is still The Break Live right here on Dominion Television, the Thursday edition. And of course, we have a lot to unpack on this show. Now we go straight to weather report this morning, and we'll start from the Oyo State capital, Ibadan. And this morning, as weather currently feels like 22 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy. By later in the day, in the morning, it will rise to 25 degrees Celsius, and by afternoon, 30 degrees Celsius. By evening, it is expected to drop to 24 degrees Celsius and overnight back to 22 degrees Celsius. Now, it will be mostly cloudy in the morning, same for afternoon, and partly cloudy in the evening. And later overnight, it will be cloudy. So if you are in Ibadan, prepare adequately for this morning. And also, still talking about weather report, we go straight to the FCT this morning, as the weather currently feels like 22 degrees Celsius. It is fair in the FCT, and by morning, later in the morning, it will rise to 25 degrees Celsius, and by afternoon, it is expected to rise to 27 degrees Celsius. Later in the evening, 24 degrees Celsius, and by night, it will be 23 degrees Celsius. Now, in the morning, it will be partly cloudy, scattered thunderstorms by 44% in the afternoon, mostly cloudy in the evening, and there will be showers overnight in the FCT.
All right, away from Abuja, we head straight to Kano, and Kano comes with this one morning. This morning is going to be 27 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy, with warm precipitation of 1%, and afternoon will come with 30 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy as well, and then the evening to be 26 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy, of velocity of 5%, and overnight it will be 23 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy as well. And away from Kano, we head straight to Kaduna, and Kaduna weather this morning, this morning is 25 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy and of 10%, and in the afternoon it will be 28 degrees Celsius, scattered thunderstorms is expected of 46%, and in the evening to be 23 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy, and it will be 19%, and overnight it will be 22 degrees Celsius, cloudy, and precipitation of 9%.
All right, going straight to River State this morning, Port Harcourt to be precise, 21 degrees Celsius, currently feels like 21 degrees Celsius right there, mostly cloudy, and by later in the morning it will rise to 24 degrees Celsius. In the afternoon, it will be around 27 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy, and by evening it will drop to 22 degrees Celsius, and overnight 21 degrees Celsius, all cloudy right there in Port Harcourt, River State today. All right, away from Port Harcourt, we'll take a weather report from the Center of Excellence, Lagos, this morning, as it currently feels like 24 degrees Celsius. Weather is currently fair, and by later in the morning it will rise to 26 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy, and by afternoon it will rise to 27 degrees Celsius. Later in the evening it will be clear, and of course it will be around 25 degrees Celsius in Lagos, and overnight it will be mostly cloudy at 25 degrees Celsius.
Yeah, I guess you want to go. I guess you want to go to Port Harcourt this morning. Well, lastly, we'll bring you the weather report from Ilorin, and Ilorin is coming with us on this morning. It's mostly to be cloudy, and that's of precipitation of 6%, and in the afternoon it will be 30 degrees Celsius and partly cloudy as well, and in the evening it will be 26 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy, and at night it will be 23 degrees Celsius. So few showers is expected of precipitation of 33%.
All right, that will be all on weather report this morning. Let's go on a quick break, and when we return, we'll take the news. We'll be back.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live like never before? Book the OB van today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram @Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
Good morning. This is Daybreak News on Dominion Television. My name is Samson Balogun. President Bola Tinubu has commiserated with the passengers of Abuja-Kaduna train, which derailed on Tuesday along the Kaduna corridor shortly after the train left Abuja at about 11 a.m. en route to Kaduna. Tinubu, who stated on his official X handle, also said that he awaits a full briefing to ensure swift action and support for all those affected. He also said that necessary steps were expected to be taken to prevent similar occurrences in the future. Meanwhile, the managing director of the Nigerian Railway Corporation, Kayode Okwefa, had taken full responsibility for the derailment of the Abuja-Kaduna train along the Kaduna corridor on Tuesday. The managing director, however, said the ongoing investigation into the incident would not be swept under the carpet. The Okwefa said the injuries of 4 of the Abuja-Kaduna train passengers were serious. He, however, said that though the incident should not have happened, the Nigerian Railway Corporation would ensure that there was no recurrence. The federal government has launched a digital portal where Nigerians can report fraudulent activities in housing estates, submit evidence, and track the progress of their complaints. The disclosure was contained in a statement released by the Federal Ministry of Housing and Urban Development. The ministry stressed that the fraudulent practices in housing estates will no longer be tolerated and that offenders will face the full weight of the law. The newly launched Housing Fraud Reporting Portal enables citizens to report fraudulent activities in housing estates, submit evidence, and track cases. The Bauchi State Governor Bala Mohammed said he put his presidential ambition on hold in the interest of the People's Democratic Party, the unity and progress of Nigeria. Speaking to journalists in Bauchi following the party's decision to zone the presidential ticket to the south and retain the chairmanship position in the north, the governor said he made the sacrifice to uphold party discipline and give others a fair opportunity to pursue their aspiration. The governor said there was a need for Nigerian politicians to set aside personal interest in favor of collective progress. The Academic Staff Union of Universities said it has given the federal government enough time to meet the demands of the members. The president of Academic Staff Union of Universities, Christopher Piuna, said lecturers of public universities had made sacrifices and deserved their entitlements. He said the union had engaged the administration of President Bola Tinubu but decried the response of the government, which he said was extremely slow. Ibadan residents have commended the media for a significant role in society, describing its impact as indispensable in bridging the gap between the government and the general public. In a chat with Dominion News, several natives emphasized how media outlets served as crucial communication channels, effectively conveying information between authorities and citizens. They praised the media's efforts in disseminating news and educating the populace, underscoring its role in keeping people informed and aware. Nevertheless, some residents urged the media to enhance transparency in information delivery. They specifically encouraged journalists not to only report government shortcomings, but also acknowledge and commend the government's positive initiative in state affairs. A group of Niger Delta youth leaders have staged a protest at the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited towers in Abuja. The youth were said to have arrived at the towers in their numbers from around 6 a.m., blocking the entrance and exit gates of the NNPCL towers. One of the displayed banners, the group called for the resignation of the Group Chief Executive Officer of the company, Engineer Bashiru Julari, over alleged corruption and mismanagement. They also called for the appointment of an indigene of the Niger Delta region as the GCEO of the NNPCL. Nigeria, South Africa, and Egypt have emerged as China's top trade destinations, with exports jumping by 25% year-on-year to reach $120 billion so far in 2025. According to reports, Africa's demand for Chinese products surged this year, already surpassing the continent's entire 2020 trade volume, with China and on course to top $200 billion for the first time. Construction machinery ranked among China's fastest growing exports to Africa in the first 7 months of 2025, surging 63% year-on-year. On the other hand, Africa's share of China's total exports is still meager at about 6%, roughly half of the level of the United States. In sport, Chelsea remains embroiled in a financial battle with Liverpool after they lost Rio Ngumoa to the Reds, with the Premier League now having to intervene as the youngster continues to blossom, further rubbing salt in the Blues' wounds. The 16-year-old became the fourth youngest scorer in the Premier League history when he netted in the 100th minute to seal a dramatic win for the Merseyside at Newcastle on Monday. Ngumoa came off the bench late on and finished impressively to land the 3 points. Last year, the youngster left Chelsea and headed to Anfield in a highly controversial switch, with the West Londoners believing they had lost a generational talent, and Ngumoa is already delivering on that promise. You can visit our website www.dominion.org.ng to listen to us live and interact with us. You can follow us across all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and LinkedIn at Dominion Broadcast, and on X at DominionCast. That ends Daybreak News. I am Samson Balogun.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live like never before? Book the OB event today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram @Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
Welcome back from that short break. The show is still The Break Live right here on Dominion Television, your channel of choice. Now it's time for newspaper headlines, and of course after that we'll take you through analysis. I have with me in the studio already Oluwaseun Oluwole, who will soon be making sense of major headlines on the pages of the newspaper this morning. But I'll start this morning with Daily Times. Of course, the major story on the Daily Times this morning: 239 first-class lecturers quit Unilag over poor pay. Ex-VC reviews. You'll find that story on page 10 of the Daily Times this morning. Of course, train derailment. We can't dismiss any leads. That's coming from Okbaifa. You'll find that story on page 19 of the Daily Times this morning. Also, there are other stories on Daily Times. Lawyers, security chiefs clash at NBA annual conference. That will be on page 2 of the Daily Times. Review of Nigeria's laws vital for good governance, survival of democracy. That statement is credited to the AGF. Also, still on Daily Times this morning, Tinubu applauds capital market boom as market value hits 721 million naira. That story is on page 12 of the Daily Times this morning. Away from there, we go straight to the Nigerian Tribune. And of course, the major story on the Nigerian Tribune: 2027, despite endorsing Tinubu, APC throws tickets open. You will find that story on page 4 of the Nigerian Tribune this morning. Also, on the Nigerian Tribune, FG to clear retirees' pension backlog with 758 billion naira bond. That story is on page 15, and of course on the top left corner of the Nigerian Tribune this morning. I also still taking small stories on the Nigerian Tribune. Nigeria loses 455 billion naira annually to poor sanitation. We'll find that story on page 3 to read further. Ondo government bans elaborate graduation ceremonies for nursery GSS pupils. I mean, that story is an interesting one. You'll find it on page 3 of the Nigerian Tribune this morning. Also, 56% of Nigerians are living below poverty line. TUC president. That statement is credited to the TUC president, and that story can be found on page 3 of the Nigerian Tribune. CBN goes tough on POS operators. Others are geotagging of terminals to tackle fraud, increase surveillance. That story is on page 6 of the Nigerian Tribune. And of course, away from Nigerian Tribune this morning. Okay, one more story on the Nigerian Tribune, and then you'll find that one at the lower third of the Nigerian Tribune. China boosts Nigeria's flood relief efforts with $1 million. Bagudu hails a growing trade between two countries. That story is on page 3 of the Nigerian Tribune this morning. Away from there, we take some stories from Nigerian News Direct. ADC leadership tussle deepens as nephew Bala rejects Mark Aregbesola takeover. Insists party constitution empowers him to lead. Northeast ADC caucus backs Deputy National Chair as acting leader. dismisses expulsion claim, urges coalition allies to follow due process. That story is on Nigerian News Direct this morning. Away from there, Osun LG crisis, why we have refused to resume since February. That's coming from local government workers in Osun State. You will find that story on the top right corner of the Nigerian News Direct newspaper this morning to read further. Also going to Ekiti State, 2026 Guba, Oyebanji denies mismanagement of 356 billion naira funds, challenges Kayode Ojo campaign to provide proof. You will find that story on page 14 of the Nigerian News Direct. FG targets training of 7 million youths in digital skills by 2027. Also on the Nigerian News Direct. And lastly, on Nigerian News Direct this morning, banks face extended forbearance beyond 2025. You'll find all the stories on the Nigerian News Direct this morning. Now we move straight to the Punch newspaper as we have other interesting stories. Yeah? On the top left corner of the Punch, Jonathan demands credible INEC chair, decries defections. That story is on page 7 of the Punch newspaper. FG nets 393 billion naira tax from Dangote, 9 others. That story is on page 17 of the Punch newspaper this morning. And also, still talking politics, APC mocks ADC over chairmanship Tozu. I think this story has refused to leave the pages of the newspaper of late as the takeover of the Senator David Mark, Rauf Aregbesola, Rotimi Amechi of the ADC has refused to leave the news scene. But of course, this is coming out this morning as the existing chairman says, look, you can take me off this seat. The Constitution empowers me to be here. That story, we'll talk about it this morning. ASU, VCs decry profs 525,000 naira monthly pay. Dons insist on salary review as senior lecturers earn 386,000. Education, Labour ministers meet today. That story is on Punch newspaper. Jailed monarch, Osun to obtain U.S. court's judgment. You will find that story on page 11. Lagos man killed in fight, suspect arrested. That story is on, it's a very sad one, it's on page 5 of the Punch newspaper. It happened in the market where fight broke out yesterday. All right, Nigerians spent 1.3 trillion naira on petrol in June. That's coming from that story is credited to NMDPRA on page 15 or page 18 of the Punch newspaper this morning. Away from there, we take stories from the Vanguard. Vanguard newspaper. Zoning causes rumples. PDP intensifies move to woo Jonathan. That story is still here. Do not forget that recently there were stories and insinuations that the president of the former president, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, might likely contest under the banner of the PDP in the next election. But of course, it has not been substantiated, and the ex-president, has not really said anything about it. Also, ex-president still consulting. That's coming from sources. PDP zoning decision won't stand. That's coming from Olawoko Ashim, is a former candidate, candidates in the presidential elections in Nigeria. Zoning presidency to South, not to glorify Wike. That's coming from PDP. It's sacrifice for unity. That story is credited to Bala Mohammed this morning, and you'll find that story on Vanguard newspaper. Also, on the top right corner, Jonathan slams defection, seeks electoral reform. That story is on Vanguard. And also, FG ASU meets today allows her leads push to resolve issues. You'll find that story on page 9 on Vanguard newspaper. And also on page 11, Uzodinma raises minimum wage to 104,000. Imo workers jubilate. That story is on page 11 of Vanguard newspaper this morning. Voter apathy aids bad leaders. Can warns Nigerians. That story is on page 13. I await full briefing on Abuja-Kaduna train disaster. That story is credited to the President of the Federal Republic, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Also, 2027, presidential tickets open despite endorsing Tinubu. That's coming from APC. And still taking some other stories on the paper this morning. 762 Nigerians killed by kidnappers in 1 year. That's a report. Presidency, NSA, Police Headquarters, NCTC keep mum on that particular one right there. Also, let's take some stories on Daily Trust this morning. Police officer arrested as soldier shot dead in Bauchi. You'll find that story on Daily Trust. Why ransom business flourishes in Nigeria. That's a report that you'll find on Daily Trust this morning. Jonathan seeks new process for INEC chair emergence. That story is also on Daily Trust. And of course, the major story on Daily Trust this morning, FG moves to avert ASU strike. You'll find that story on Daily Trust this morning. Kidnappers of Katsina, a couple demand 600 million naira ransom. I mean, that's a lot of money. That story is on page 6 of our Daily Trust. I mean, kidnapping is becoming a business. It's flourishing day after day in Nigeria, and I just hope the government can nip this in the bud before it becomes a major problem. Away from there, let's take some stories on the Guardian newspaper before we delve straight into analysis this morning. How winning funding, legal aid keep 53,460 pre-trials inmates in jail. I mean, this was a story we discussed yesterday, talking about how some Nigerians are still in jail, despite the fact that they have not really been tried. And then it becomes a problem as prisons are becoming more and more congested day by day. And I do hope that the government can actually take a critical look at this and see how Nigerian prisons or correctional centers can be decongested to make sure that some people who are actually due to be at their various homes are released on time. Away from there, Alausa moves to resolve ASU crisis as FG meets union today. This story cuts across all major papers this morning. And also, Tinubu justifies bitter pills of reform, Lord's citizens' patience. That story is on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. And going straight to Ondo State this morning, Ondo joins states banning graduation ceremonies in nursery, junior secondary schools. I mean, it has become a trend lately. You will see nursery school children wearing graduation gowns, and you begin to ask yourself questions. Where are they graduating to? It's a question that should be asked, and it feels like some parents are being miffed, especially by private, private schools. And this is a good development coming from Ondo State this morning. At least this keeps some money in the pockets of parents at the end of sessions. Away from there, Igbo leaders demand binding MOU for 2027 support as ABGA backs Tinubu. That story is on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. Traffic High cuts at 2.4 million off internet amid soaring data consumption. That story is on page 4 of the Guardian newspaper this morning. Also, let me take this one before we go. Ganduje faces fresh probe over alleged sale of public property. You'll find that story on page 29 of the Guardian newspaper. Now, Falana Ezekwesili Sule tasked lawyers on socio-economic rights and electoral act. You'll find that story on page 4 of the Guardian newspaper this morning. Now we go straight into analysis. There's a lot to talk about and unpack on this segment of the show. We want to see what exactly is going on across the country. And I have with me in the studio a seasoned analyst, Oluwole Oluwaseun. Good to have you in the studio this morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Right. Let's talk about the hope of workers across the country and why we do not have a uniform wage bill across states. I know that in some countries too, it differs from state to state, but then it should be close somehow. Some states are still struggling to pay 70,000 at minimum wage. Some are already paying 80,000 at minimum wage. And the boom in Imo State, Opus Odima has increased minimum wage from what it used to be to around 4,000 naira. And Imo workers are jubilating. Is this sustainable? And of course, should this be a yardstick for other states to actually say, look, we should increase what we call minimum wage? There should be nothing like minimum wage. It should be living wage. What will be enough to survive?
Now, good morning once again, and thanks for having me. Now, concerning this Hope Uzodimma now raising the minimum wage in Imo State, is commendable. But like you rightly said, is it sustainable? Is it sustainable? But for him to have done that, he would have seen into the coffers of the Imo State government that, yes,
I mean, they can now earn more money.
Yes, they can afford it. They can afford it. It's not that all the states can, some of our states can afford it, or most of them can't afford it. They can actually do, but the willpower for them to do is like, we the citizens, I mean, normal working people, working class people, is like, there's actually no law or no structure for us to actually vent our voices out there for those governors to actually listen to them or to the civil workers. Now, across the years, minimum wages have been raised at least for like 3 or 4 times now. Some of the states will come out and tell you, oh, we can't afford it. But now that they are earning more money, they can afford it. But some of them just don't see that the common man needs to have a living wage, not minimum wage. What is minimum? Is it that they have not been delivering for the state or for the entire state? Now they should have something called living wage. We should come on, let's think about it. It's like you just don't want people to breathe. That's let people breathe. Let the poor breathe. If Uzodinma can think that, okay, 104 is not that bad, he can sustain it, his state can sustain it, he's earning more money for the federal government, he can afford to pay it, so many other states too can afford to do it, but they won't. Maybe for their own selfishness of whatever, they would just want to do it. Some of these governors can afford a lot. They can.
Take home for all states from the FAAC
is 70,000.
It's about now the states now have more allocations, more money being allocated.
More money.
It has risen by 500%.
Now, why can't we just raise the hope of a common man? If the states are saying they can't pay, the public sector can't pay, then what about the private sector? What has the state or the country has actually, like a business owner, I would say, there's no enabling environment for me to really give my performance, 100% performance in my own business. So what do you want me, and you want me to still pay taxes? So what do you want me to now give out or cough out to my own employees? So if the state can't take it by the bull, take the bull by the horn, I say, okay, let us do this. The private sector too won't. Okay. They won't. There's a little too. At least the government is not doing much for their own people, and they are taking from us. So what should we give?
All right. Away from there, despite endorsing Tinubu, APC throws tickets open. Is that wise for the APC?
It's still wise, but they are still they are trying to play democracy out there.
Is this still democracy? Because the party has endorsed the president already. And they still throw it open that, oh, well, if you still want anybody to come in and throw in the gauntlet, let them come in. They are actually, it's politics. Is it internal politics?
That is.
Let's just make it look like democracy. Internal democracy.
Yes. Is the sitting president. For now, is the sitting president for now, and this is your party. That's the party that has produced him now, and you're not saying, despite the fact that we have a sitting president, somebody else can still come out and say, okay, I want to. We are still going to have a primary that we can still. Does it make sense? It sounds like a mutiny or somewhere to me. If it were to be something other, I would say, is there a mutiny going on or
within the party?
No, within the party. So saying we still throw the ticket open, the ticket is still open. It's like, if it were to be on another scale of another story, I would say, okay, there's a mutiny somewhere, or there's something going on somewhere. So you said,
would that be on the instruction of the president himself? Declare it open.
The party is just trying to play some naughty politics between themselves. He's still the sitting president, and you are still saying that anybody can still contest for what? As what? To go and buy form for what? To raise money again? To gather in money? You know, does it make sense? It doesn't make sense at all. So I think they are just trying to maybe see. At times, some of these people, I think they talk out of lines. They talk out of line. I don't think they actually sit down to think about what
the implication of what
the implications of whatever they are going to say will be. We have a sitting president. He is the sitting president of that party, of the nation, from that party. And now you are saying the ticket is open of presidency. So that means you are going to have a convention or whatever for another person to contest
Against the president.
Against the president. So if that person now should win, are you saying we as a country should remove him and replace him with that one? I think some of our
still talking politics. Still talking
some
politics.
of them they need to get their
still talking politics. ADC checked. Leadership Tozu deepens as Nafiu Bala rejects Mark Aregbesola takeover. Now he insists that party constitution empowers him to lead. Northeast ADC caucus backs Deputy National Chair as acting leader. Dismisses expulsion claim. Urges coalition allies to follow due process. Now there was an insinuation that the Aregbesola-led caucus did not follow due process in joining the party. Some say they entered the party through the back door. That some of them were given party membership cards in Abuja, whereas they should go back to their various units, wards, local governments to register as a member of the party before they can actually contest for a position. They have to be a member of the party for a certain number of months, which did not happen. They came in and took over the party. Now, they're having issues with original members of the party who were there in the party even before now. And this one is saying, Nafiu Bala is saying, look, I'm still in charge of this political party, and I do not recognize David Mark, I do not recognize Rauf Aregbesola, or any member of the new NEC caucus that has been selected in the party. What does that say ahead of 2027 for ADC as a political party?
ADC, to me, that coalition, I mean, the coalition of people coming into ADC, like I've always said, aggrieved. They don't actually have this ideology of, it's like marriage of convenience or something. It's just like, let us just come to.
Can they survive together?
They can never survive together. These have been people like left wing and right wing coming together now just to forge themselves into a weapon that
do they have a common goal?
That's what I'm trying to say. Trying to forge themselves into a weapon that can never actually work. They don't have a common goal. And I was going to say that their ideologies are not the same. Aregbesola was groomed from this same APC, while Mark and some other people came from another background.
PDP.
And what are their ideologies?
Rotimi Amechi was PDP, then APC, then now ADC.
This can't work. For me, I say it's selfishness and greed coming into play. Because at the end of the day, there will always be rancor that I don't recognize him. Who is he? Where is he coming from? I have my own ground before he came in. So that is what we play out.
Don't you think that will always happen in any political party, especially newly formed ones?
Newly formed ones like this, coming out of their own of intent, not state interest, personal interest or intent. It will work out. This is the way it will work out, and it will play out. But when you're coming together for the interest of the state, of the common man, and you feel the pulse of the common man, you will, if every one of them actually feels the pulse of the common man, they will say, okay, this is what we need to do, this is what we need to do. It's all about the people. It's for the hope of the people, not for us, not for them personally. But now it is a personal thing.
The crisis within the ADC, is it to the advantage of the APC? As APC mocks ADC over chairmanship also?
It is to the advantage of APC. Like the president said some months ago that the PDP should put their house in order. He's not going to help them to do it, but he's glad they're having it. And he will not drive this nation into a one country, I mean, a one party system country or whatever. But at the end of the day, it won't help other parties to build their own party. So they will always have it, whether new one or even the old ones too will still have it. But the old ones that doesn't have it actually knows that they can't stand the test of time. If you know they can't stand the test of time. Okay, let's just support. Like, I want to pick out something like APGA saying, "Oh, we are supporting."
They've already said that they are supporting the APC.
We are supporting APC, the presidency.
And they are looking for an MOU.
Yes. Let us understand an agreement, what we stand to benefit as a party, not as a nation. So you can see where that is coming from. There's a difference. MOU, what are you going to give to us? From the...
Isn't it going to trickle down to the people, even when they get to the party?
It's never going to trickle down to the people. They are talking about their own party. About the party, not about the people. It is when it trickles down to the party, and the person in the party is actually people-oriented. Is a people-oriented person that can say, okay, to our own side of our own constituent.
Before we leave, there's a usual saying in the political scene. They will say there's probably a politician does not take care of the party. I mean, is in position, is actually at the corridor of power, and then party members will say he does not take care of the party. What does that mean for the people?
Before the people take care of us, that's what they are saying. We are the party members. We helped you. We push you there. We put you there. We are your people. Inside the caucus, there's a caucus. That's what they are saying. So when people say, when party members say, he's not taking care of party people, the party is supposed to take care of the people, not the person in power taking the person in the corridor not taking care of the party. What have we put in structure? What have we put in place? Is it the party or a person in the party that's supposed to take care of the people?
Okay.
But the people in the party will now say, oh, he's not taking care of us. Then that question comes to mind that, is this supposed to take care of the party or is it take care of the people? Right. So, but the people will say, the party people will say, Koshewa Dada.
Okay, away from there, away from politics, FG to clear retirees' pension backlogs with 758 billion pound. That story is on page 15 of the Nigerian Tribune this morning.
That would be a very good news to pensioners. Because most of them, it worries me when you see people putting their best, their sweat and everything for this country, and they are not getting paid. And like the other time, there was this conversation that came up about the whooping sum of the salaries our lawmakers raking. Look at their percentage and look at the percentage of the Nigerian populace, the pensioners. How much are we going to pay them that we can't actually, that we don't actually want to? We can afford to. Let's take care of these people. People served, getting old. On a sad note, like 4 or 5 months ago, a woman was knocked down at UMC there. Okay, Ado? Yeah, in Ibadan. An old woman, a retiree. If you know the process that these people go through before they can even get this money, this pension or whatever, the little they are even giving to them.
You're saying there's too much bureaucracy attached to it.
They are making it look like it's technical. It's not. You have a database of your workers, especially here in your state. It's happening. You have a database of your workers. Of course, we have to know who are dead and who is dead and who is not. You have the right to know that. But calling out these old people to come out.
Don't you think they are trying to make it safe from fraud?
There are better ways to do it. There's technology. You can exploit that. Exploit it. And this one was knocked down there at Okeado by a reckless bike rider. You keep coming, of course, Oyo State government should know. They keep calling out these people every month, come and do verification, come and do verification. Even the money is not even paid. The money is not being paid, and you call them out to come and do verification. And now federal government saying we want to clear with bonds.
Okay, away from there.
And you are telling us our external revenue has reached over $40-something billion.
Away from there, in 1 minute before we go, the Ondo State government bans elaborate graduation ceremonies for nursery GSS pupils.
That's good news to my eyes anyway.
Okay.
On a lighter mood, good news to my eyes because you see a toddler
wearing graduation gown. Some of them are charged as high as 25,000, 20,000,
more than that.
30, depending on the school.
More than that. I heard a parent paid 50,000 naira
for graduation for a toddler.
What knowledge has he or she actually?
Okay, Oluwole Oluwaseun.
That's graduate with.
Oluwole Oluwaseun, thank you for being a part of the show this morning. It has been a wonderful session with you. Well, unfortunately, our time is fast spent on the show, so we have to go. We do hope that next time we call you, you'll be here. All right, that will be all on newspaper headlines and analysis this morning. We'll go on a short break. And when we return, Pat Aito will take you through the big story. We'll be back after this time out.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live? Like never before. Book the OB van today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram @Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
All right, good morning once again, and welcome to another segment of the program Daybreak Live, tagged Base Story. I am Pat I2. Well, our focus today is on a very critical and timely subject as 2027 election is drawing near. Policing in democracy. How do we strike a balance between ensuring security and upholding citizens' rights? Policing in a democracy is never straightforward. Law enforcement officers are tasked with protecting lives and preserving order and enforcing the law. Yet, growing concerns over excessive force, abuse of power, and lack of accountability continue to challenge the relationship between citizens and the police. This morning, we ask, where do we draw the line on the use of force? To help us navigate this critical conversation is a public affairs analyst, Leko Shubogwali. Together, we will examine the challenges and the reforms required and how Nigeria can foster a police force that truly serves a democratic society. A very good morning to you, Leko.
Pat, good morning. How are you?
How are you?
I'm very much fine.
Well, police, in your own term, let's begin this way. How does policing mean, and what does policing mean in democracy?
Talking about policing in the democratic
System.
setting, you know, it has to do, it entails everything that democratic setting also entails. You know, you talk about fairness, you talk about adherence to the rule of law, you talk about accountability, you talked about respect for fundamental human rights of the citizen. So, you know, that is all what policing in a democratic setting should be talking about. So the question now is that, is that what we are having in this present dispensation in Nigeria?
All right, so before we go into that, how do you define excessive force in policing?
Yes, you know, policing, especially in a democratic setting, never allows excessive force. But there are legal framework, you know, for if you are to use force, and it's not even going to be excessive, but minimal, you know. That's why we have the Nigerian Police Act 2020. That's why we have Anti-Torture 2017, and that's why we have the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, also of 2017. You know, all these acts, all these police acts, you know, they are guiding against the use of excessive force. It is not as if you cannot use excessive force, and they will not even allow that you use excessive force, but you can use a minimal force, and there are certain conditions in which you can use that. You know, maybe possibly because of the safety of the suspects, maybe in a situation whereby the suspect is attempting to escape, and or in the protection of lives, you know, a force can come in, and not excessive force. And it is also important to state that for all this, for violation of all this by the police officer, you know, there are always consequences for this. At least for excessive, you know, in Anti-Torture Act 2017, you know, the act provides a 25 years imprisonment for any officer that violates such.
So let's just look at it. Can you just help us to understand, because you made mention of legal framework here. Can you just help us to understand the legal framework, as in what are the laws guiding it? I mean, the use of force by police officer in a democracy.
Yes, you know, just like I've said earlier on, you know, you are talking about policing democracy. We are talking about the accountability. You know, we are talking about, you know, police should be they should be accountable to the public. Should you understand? You know, in being accountable to the public, then you are building public trust, and you know, transparency in all that you are doing. You should be transparent, and proportionality. Whatever you are doing, you know, there should be a proportion of fairness. And when
to balance,
and when there is a need for you to bring in force, it should not be excessive force. You know, when you look at all those acts, the Nigerian Police Act 2020, you know, the Anti-Torture 2017, the Nigerian Act, the Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2017, they all talk about force, but they are not talking about excessive force. And the legal framework provides a situation where you can, you know, bring in a bit of force, you know, because
but it shouldn't be much.
There will always be exemptions. Sure, you understand? There will always be special cases, but it should not be excessive. You understand? Because you have to be, you know, even as a suspect, even as a criminal, you know, there is always a bit of fundamental human rights. You understand? You have to protect the rights of the person, the criminal, or even the suspects. And you should also understand that for whatever you're doing, you have to, we are in a democratic setting, and where we are preaching the rule of law, you have to adhere yourself. You have to, strictly adhere to the rule of law. So all these acts guiding against, excessive force, guiding against torture, they have an open door of opportunities if you want to use force, but don't let it be excessive. There is a legal framework. When as they are giving you a legal framework, and there is also a consequences if for any violators of these acts.
All right. Well, let's look at this. You made mention of rule of law. So in a perfect world governed by the rule of law, where should the line on the use of force be drawn? I mean, take for instance, maintaining the law and order, also protecting civil liberties.
You see, in this present dispensation, in this present republic, the Nigerian police force, they have looking at it critically, to be objective, they have in the last few years of our coming to this present dispensation, they have really tried, they have really exercised.
Tried in what sense?
They have tried to exercise restraint, sometimes in the face of provocation. You understand, maybe because.
But we still hear about so many. I mean, we'll talk about stray bullets. I mean, one happened in Ibadan.
Yes. We that's why I said there are exceptional cases. You understand,
You say some of them harass people.
Yes, that's why I said in the exceptional cases. You understand. For instance, look at what happened in Ibadan. I don't want us to go back to that episode because it was not a really good episode.
It's not a good
you understand,
one.
but even for citizens, there are ways through which we can we should understand that these police officers, they are also human. You understand? So, there are ways, even though there can never be justification for someone violating the constitution of the land, because officers of the Nigerian police force, they are all being guided by the Nigerian Police Act 2020. You understand? I don't know if there's been any act, or amendments of the act since 2020. I'm not aware if there is any.
Okay.
But presently, they are being guided by this act. The officers have no justification for any excessive use of force. They have no justification for any, even in that act. The act also provided a situation. It spelled out a situation where you can use firearms. That you don't just open fire. You don't just use your firearms unnecessarily. You understand it? And anybody, just like I said, anybody that goes against all these acts, there are consequences. The consequences are also spelled out in that act. So, in a democratic setting, yes, it is.
Well, you're talking about consequences. So, who holds the police? Who holds the police responsible when force is being used? I mean, when this kind of act happens.
Yes, that's why we have the Police Service Commission. The Police Service Commission are the one guiding and regulating every act of the Nigerian Police Force, the officers and men of the Nigerian Police Force. If there are any public complaints, or there are issues, the Police Service Commission, they are in the best, like 2 or 3 days. I read in the newspaper when Special Advisor to the President on Coordination and Special Duty, Ms. Bala Usman.
Yes, ma'am.
She visited the Chairman of Police Service Commission, where the Chairman, Ashimu Agungu, where she disclosed that the PSC, in the last few years, I don't know, maybe due to inadequate finance, maybe lack of funds, they have not been able to discharge their duty
as well,
effectively. And that's why you have all this issue of police misbehaving. Apology to our gallant officers. Every day on social media, you see the excessiveness of our officers, you know. Not all of them. You know, they are good ones.
You see some of them, they will drink to stupor.
Yes, you know, you are not some of them. Let us say few of them, because it cannot be some of them. You know, let me give you an instance. I traveled a few days ago, and you know, I traveled through public transportation, and while we were going, you know, at Lagos Ibadan, you know, we met with many police officers, you know, on checkpoints. You understand? So the driver, you know, we got to a checkpoint, and they were waving the driver down. That driver should stop. The driver he refused to stop. They now have to use a kind of force, you know, to make sure that the man stopped. The man eventually stopped. I was sitting beside the driver at the front. So the man stopped. They now said the man should turn. The man turned back. As a punishment, they asked for his paper, you know.
His particulars.
His particulars. Driver license, everything, you know, completed. And they are now asking the man, why don't you want to stop? You know, maybe the man was thinking that maybe they want to, as usual.
As usual.
You understand? So, and the police officer was saying that they are going to, as a punishment, they are going to delete him. That they are not going to allow us to go. And, you know, at that point, I have to approve the police officers. You know, I introduced myself, and you know, when I discussed with them, when I interacted with them, they were so happy. They said, "See, we are going to allow this man to go, just because of you." You understand? So, you know, it is not only the responsibility of the police officers. You know, when you are talking about policing, you know, generally in a democratic setting, it should not be the responsibility of only the officers, but even, okay.
We'll come to that. Well, looking at the Police Service Commission, you're talking about PSA, yes. But some people feel that they are toothless dog, because what actually happened during the #NSAS protest was a monumental moment that sparked the brutal action of the single units. And this number is more than SARS, and some people, I mean the force, they're like the police officers were actually using force to do some certain things because they see that as an opportunity for them to exercise their kind of, their force in taking some people, like excessive force on people. So where is PSC? Where's Police Service Commission?
You see, just like we have said,
because till now they've not talked about it.
Yeah, you know, just like we have said that Police Service Commission, just like the chairman said 2-3 days ago, that you know, the Police Service Commission, as we speak, are not is not well positioned. You know, most of the time, you know, you see a kind of conflict between the Nigerian Police Force and even the Police Service Commission. And you know, the Police Service Commission, you know, till now has not been well empowered. See, let me give you an instance. The current Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, is 61, you know, which is against the act that established the Nigerian Police Force. You know, yes, the president can extend the tenure of any public official. You know, IGP is a public official, but there should be a recommendation, you know, from the Police Service Commission to the president that on this basis we want you to extend the service year of the IGP. But you know, when you look at it critically, we don't have anything of such. You know, the president just, for reason best known to him, unilaterally extended the service year of the IGP. You know, there was a time that they are talking about, you know, promotion of some senior officers. You know, the IGP Egbetokun made, you know, approved some promotions for some of the senior officers. This should be the responsibility of the Police Service Commission, you know, where things work. You understand? So, you know, a situation whereby, you know, talking about all these acts, the Police Act 2020, the Anti-Torture, Criminal Justice, you know, Police Service Commission is the overall supervisor support the Nigerian police force. But in a situation whereby, you know, just like you have referred to them now, toothless bulldog, that they are not functioning, you know, they have not been empowered, you know, to discharge their duty, then what do we do? You know, when you're having the supervisory agency of the Nigerian police force, no, the lack of inadequate funding, you know, even the acts that set up Police Service Commission, you know, by now should have been amended in order to accommodate all these service extension year of the IGP and all those stuff. But till now, that has not been done. You know, so, you know, one of the critical areas that federal government needs to look at, you know, because in a democratic setting, you know, all these things, there should always be review of some of our laws, of some of our acts, you know, because when you are, you know, the act, the Nigerian Police Act 2020, the aim is to strengthen the democratic governance. You understand? You know, policing democratic governance. That is the aim of the Nigerian. So when you are doing this, how do you want to strengthen the Nigerian police force when you are weakened or you are weakening day by day the Police Service Commission? So it is very important for the relevant, you know, maybe National Assembly, you know, to look into the
Well, still talking about the disparity between the Police Service Commission and
Exactly.
the police officers. So now, who is at fault, and why do you have such a massive gap between the law on paper and the practice on ground? Because having Mr. President to elongate the service year of the IGP.
The National Assembly is at fault.
National Assembly, how?
Yes. The National Assembly makes laws, and you know, the Police Service Commission, you know, was established by law. The President of Nigeria is the head of the executive arm of the government. It is to implement. The executive arm of the government implements the policy, the laws, acts, legislation of the National Assembly. So, in the National Assembly, we have House Committee on police. We have Senate Committee on police. What are they doing? You know, during budget presentation, the Nigerian Police Force, we go there with their budget. Separately, the Police Service Commission, we go there with their budget. That means there is an act for the establishment of PSC. There is also an act for the establishment of the Nigerian Police Force. So who is to regulate these two agencies of the government? It is the National Assembly. You know, one of the basic functions of the National Assembly is oversight function. They go to visit the Nigerian Police Force. They go to visit the Police Service Commission. They interact with them in order to know their area of strength and their area of weaknesses. So the problem lies with the National Assembly. It is the National Assembly that can sort out the issue of, you know, the continuous conflict between the Police Service Commission and the Nigerian Police. And you see, the truth of the matter is that the Police Service Commission remains, you know, where we are having a system that works. You know, the Police Service Commission remains the only organ, that's why when you look at the heads, you know, of Police Service Commission, you see a former IGP, former DIG, former IGP, you cannot even see AIG, that's been from Mike Okiro to Ehidero, you know, now to Ashim Magungu, you know, who is a retired DIG. You know, the reason is, you know, you cannot just bring someone from outside. You know, you cannot if you put in a professional that understand the ethics, the workings, and the professionalism of the Nigerian Police Force. You understand? So it is important. It is not as if the Police Service Commission don't know what is expected of it, but even when you know what is expected of the agency or the supervisory commission, where are the truths that you want to work with? You know, in recent times, just like I've said, we've seen Inspector General of Police approving promotions for Nigerian police officers. And you see the Police Service Commission also approving promotions for Nigerian police officers. It is wrong. You know, by the act that set up the PSC, it is the responsibility of the Police Service Commission. It is the PSC that makes recommendation to the IGP that so. Okay, like a week ago, Kayode Egbetokun said that, you know, he promoted some officers because of, you know, maybe their gallantry or because of their extra dedicated effort to
work.
No, it should not be so. That should be the sole responsibility of the Police Service Commission. And that's why we're having the issue. You know, where President just woke up in one morning and unilaterally extended the service year of IGP. You understand? You know, without the input of the Police Service Commission, without the recommendation of the Police Service Commission, then you know, what you are telling us is that the Police Service Commission is not relevant. So it is the responsibility of the National Assembly. The president cannot make law. You understand? President can, you know, can use some of his cronies, you know, can use some member of his party. You know, if he is having a majority in the National Assembly to propose a bill. You know, we can have executive bill. We do have executive bill. So, you know, the essence is the executive can also initiate a bill and transmit to the National Assembly for proper legislation.
Well, still talking about accountability and oversight, what role do media play in shaping public perception and accountability on police use of force?
You know, talking about the issue of accountability, you know, the present day media, they are not trying. Let me give you an instance. If I should ask you, or let's ask ourselves, till today, we just talked about the issue of SARS, and they are talking about victims, that some people were killed.
And we're hearing no, they're not.
But can anyone come out and tell us that this is the actual number of the people that were killed? Even till today, we don't have numbers. In Ibadan, in Oyo State, where we reside, as a journalist, I cannot confirm, you know. Like 3 years ago, I covered the proceedings of EndSARS public hearing at House of Chiefs Secretariat. I covered the proceeding all through. We you know, nobody, not even the chairperson or the chairman of the committee, without justice, without chief judge. You know, they cannot come out and tell us this is the actual number of those that were killed during the EndSARS. And that is where the issue of accountability comes in. At Lekki Toll Gate, we heard that they killed so many youths, so many Nigerian youths. You know, so many public hearing, corona inquest and all those stuff. Till now, nobody can. They even visited mortuaries in Lagos State, across Lagos State. But nobody can tell us, the government will tell us, the Nigerian army will say, they are telling us, nobody, you know, there is, you cannot come out and, okay, during the EndSARS, 20 people were killed, 10 people were killed, 5 people were killed.
Well, with this accusation you're laying, who is to be blamed?
You know, it is a collective. I would not want to blame anybody, because in this case,
you're actually saying the media have not done well. So who
yes, because you asked me that what should be the role of the media in all this, and that's why I'm saying that the media has not really done well.
And that's why I'm taking back to EndSARS.
Yes, because the media should be the one that should be asking questions in all of this, inquests, in all of these investigations, in all of these committee and reconciliation, all this stuff. How many people were killed in all this? The Nigerian police force should be able to have a record of how many people were killed. Okay, take for instance, in the issue of all these terrorists, bandits, you know, the Nigerian army will come out and tell us 17 people were killed, 18 people were killed, 20 people were killed, 100 terrorists were neutralized. That is accountability. the Nigerian police force should be able to come out and tell us, the media should ask questions that, okay, in all this, how many people were killed? How many Nigerians were killed? And this is where the issue of accountability comes in. It is not just that, there have been answers. Nigerians were killed. When people keep saying youth were killed, so many people were killed, I keep asking them, how many? I've not been able to. In Oyo State, I was aware that then, like maybe 5 or 6 people were killed. I understand that 2 policemen were burnt at the road. Put all these things together. How many people were lost in this battle? When the Nigerian police force cannot even give account of his men that were killed, so you now be asking them how many Nigerians were killed. But in all this, the Nigerian media should be asking questions, and that should be our responsibility. That's why we have Freedom Information Act. It provides a legal framework where journalists can ask anybody any question.
Well, talking about people that were killed during excess, how can police officers themselves be protected from undue risk while still respecting citizens' rights?
Yes, that's what we are saying, that, it should be the, policing in democracy in Nigeria should not be the sole responsibility of the Nigerian police force. Okay. It should be the collective responsibility. Citizens should be able to understand their rights, the fundamental human rights. The police also should be able to understand because police should, in the Nigerian Police Act and in the Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2017, it was clearly stated there, under the Act prescribing use of firearms, that you cannot use firearms anyhow, but you can use it in the protection of lives. Most of the stray bullet that we have, or most of the cleans that we have, that is the policemen we clean, that they make mistakes. What they resorted to is that we are protecting our lives. A member of probably wanted to attack us, so we have to protect ourselves. So it is very important for the citizens to understand the rights of these officers, and also the officers to understand the rights of the citizen. So because it cannot just be straight jacketing. That's okay. Because we want to protect ourselves, we should not be killing everybody. No. But death is staring you. We are looking at death now, and you are having your weapon with you. Of course, the main essence of the weapon, with you, is to protect members of the public and also to protect yourself. So, and I think it is very important for, this thing, the role of the Police Service Commission cannot be overemphasized in all this. In a situation whereby we have, most of the ammunitions that our police officers are carrying, who is taking accountability of it?
Right.
You see police officers, they be shooting. I've witnessed a situation whereby, officers of the Nigerian police force, unnecessarily, they were just wasting bullets. They were firing sporadically in order to impress their principal, who is a politician, who takes account of all these wasted bullets.
Well, before we go this morning, let's quickly look at the human rights and democracy. How does international human rights standards guide policing in democratic nations?
Yes, we have various international agencies, international organizations, that are supervising and that are guiding not only the Nigerian police force, the police force, across the world. 2 days ago, or 3 days ago, I think even they are still there. There is a conference or a summit going on now. I cannot remember the African countries now, where the General Police and some senior officers are currently attending. I don't know, maybe it's Ghana or South Africa, I cannot remember now. So, you know, the international organizations are also, you know, playing a supervisory role in ensuring that, you know, because in policing Nigerian democracy, you know, protection of fundamental human rights is clearly spelled out. You understand that in the discharge of your duty, and that's why we have, you know, in the basic operations of the Nigerian police force, you know, policing in democratic setting, you know, that's where you talk about adherence to rule of law. You understand? Very, very important. So, in the discharge of your responsibility, in the discharge of your duty, it is very important for you to adhere to the rule of law. And that's where we have all these Amnesty International. You know, that's where we have our international police organizations. You understand? So, you know, all these organizations are supervising, they are regulating. You know, they are like a watchdog. You understand? For the activities of the police force, not only in Nigeria, but, you know, in Africa and even beyond.
Well, let's look at it. If excessive force is being used by police, and if it continues, what risk does it portend for our democracy?
Yes, you know, it portends a great danger for our democracy, you know. Okay, just take, for instance, even till now, we are still not seeing, you know, the wound of the EndSARS, you know, because, you know, most families that lost their loved ones during that EndSARS, you know, they will not be telling good stories about democracy. You understand? It endangers a democratic, you know, setting. You know, it denied people of the real democratic dividends. You understand? Then policing the democratic setting. You know, the essence, they should be able to build trust, public trust. And when you're having all this excessive torture, excessive force, you know, it bridges the public trust. You know, the trust that members of the public
should have
will be having in the Nigerian police force. You understand? You know, they are not going to be respected. You know, it takes away the respect and the dignity.
And that's what you see on the road.
Yes.
Most of our roads.
Yes, and the integrity of the Nigerian police force. You understand? Most time when you see our officers on the road, you know, the way they are being treated by motorists, you know, that you just pity them that all these people, they don't even have respect for our officers again. You know, it portends great dangers, you understand, for nascent, you know, going democracy.
Well, Lekan Oshobowale, I won't allow you to go because without looking at what reforms would you recommend to strike a balance between security and liberty?
Yes. You know, the number one reform that I will advocate for is that our police officers, you know, there is a need for constant orientation, you know, awareness, you know, and constant engagement, you know, between our police officers and the supervisory agencies, you know, like PSC. And it is important for federal government to once again look at the act that establishes the Police Service Commission and also review all these acts. You know, the last Police Force Act that we have was in 2020, and now we are in 2025. So I think it is very important, you know,
to review
all these acts, and you know, the anti-torture, the administrative criminal justice law 2017, all these laws. I recommend that the relevant stakeholders and agencies should take their time to review some of these laws so that they can meet up with the present realities in the country.
All right, thank you so much, Lekan Oshobowale, public affairs analyst on the program. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us on this one. Well, that is the big story on Daybreak Live. Policing in democracy will always raise tough questions, but one clear truth is security cannot thrive without justice, and democracy cannot flourish without accountability. The line on the use of force must be drawn with fairness, restraint, and respect for human dignity. Well, thank you so much, Lekon Shobwale, once again. And I am Bart Aito. Thank you so much for staying with us. Daybreak Live continues after this break.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live like never before? Book the OB van today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram @Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
All right, welcome back from that short break. The show is still Daybreak Live right here on Dominion Television, your channel of choice, where inspiration meets entertainment. All right, you're welcome back. I still with me in the studio part. I thought we will be making sense of trends on social media and, of course, across the globe at this time. Popular streamer Pella was said to have been kidnapped yesterday. I mean, later he was found. I mean, you know, it was actually a scare. People were scared that, oh, why? It was actually said to have been kidnapped while he was streaming.
Well, that could be a content to me, but then it's not. Let's just be serious about it. Well, the popular, like the story you have here, popular Nigerian streamer Pella has been found after he was reportedly kidnapped during live. Reports are emerging that TikTok star Pella, whose name is Abib Amzat, was allegedly abducted by armed men while on his way back from buying food.
Yeah, I mean, that's really a serious one. We should not be having that kind of, you know, situation, especially when it comes to kidnapping, because every life does matter.
But then, you know why I first said it might be a content? Because there was this content that I watched where the lady wanted to rent an apartment. So on getting there, it saw a man lifeless on the floor and wrapped in a white clothes. And before you know, the person just woke up and the woman was scared. So I feel like it might be another content for him, but all the same, if truly this happened, it shouldn't happen in broad daylight. He went to buy food, and before you know it, somebody kidnapped him. But I don't want to I don't want to say that that's something attached to that issue. Maybe as you know, he's I will still use you Belenu Jawaya. Maybe he has said something, and they just feel like, okay, let's just teach him a lesson. Let's just do something for him. But this is not the lesson.
Please,
It's totally against the law.
It's totally against the law.
Kidnapping is actually not allowed anywhere around the world. It's against the law, and whoever engages in that will actually face the full width of the law. So I totally believe that the police are actually looking into this, and as matters unfold, we'll see exactly what the problem
well,
is.
they've not made any comments as regards that. They said we're still investigating.
Yeah.
So
let's just hope that after the investigation, there will be great news that whoever was behind it, if it actually happened, will be
face the
will
music.
face the music. But then if it did not happen and this was just content, I mean, even Pella should face the music. I want to believe that.
sure. Well, we have a comment here, and the comment is saying that the Food Networking saying make you carry the money way in, don't gather, marry in babe, relocate, Booyah, Afghanistan. The one we don't do for here, don't do.
Well, everyone has an opinion, but nobody has the right to tell one person or the
Where to live or where
when,
not to.
and where. I mean, it's not in your jurisdiction anyway. There are other comments there too.
Well, we have Lima. Lima is talking. If it was the unknown, whatever you think, they will return like that. You guys need to be very careful. Oh.
Yeah, I think it has, over time, it's actually been a delicate issue with the unknown gunmen, especially in the southeastern part of the country. And I feel lately, I think the government has been able to nip it in the bud, if not totally, at least to an extent. Drastically, it has reduced. So I want to believe that, the issue of unknown gunmen has gone to rest for now.
Rest? Well, rest
For
like
now.
for now. Well, I like that. Well, the last comment here, we have Olivia_Davies saying that, are we a joke to these people? I think this person is
it's trying to link in it to if this was actually a content. I mean, this should not happen.
She's speaking my mind.
Any content that actually, based on the conscience of the people, I mean, puts them under pressure, makes them fear for their lives.
It's no more content.
It's totally,
a different
an aberration
thing.
that should not happen. It's something different. Yeah. I think that's all we have on Trend Watch today. Thank you for being a part of the show so far. As we said, there's a lot to unpack on this station today, so keep it locked right there as we have a lot for you. Still to come is the big conversation, of course, and a whole lot of other shows that we have for you on this today. Of course, just after this, you have the agenda with Chike Obogu. So still sit back, relax. There's a lot to talk about on Dominion Television today. Thank you for being a part of the show. Link up with us on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Dominion Broadcast, and on X, formerly Twitter, at Dominion Cast. You can also watch us live on our website, www.dominion.org.ng, www.dominion.org.ng. Now, each new day teaches you that yesterday did not defeat you. So today, rise stronger and better and do things differently. Samson Balogun is my name. Until we meet you again on Daybreak Live Extra tomorrow, being the Friday edition. As I keep being good, keep being safe. Bye for now.
All right, I am Pat Aito saying that you should have a good Thursday. Of course, it's throwback Thursday, not Wednesday. All right, have a good Thursday. Bye for now.